Lil Brunson back at you with the back at you, and I am the best reporting on the Eagles. So the challenges that Carson Wentz face are just, are common challenges in my opinion. I'm understanding of what a quarterback needs to do and the pieces that a quarterback has around him, and that receivers are also different. So to see that Carson Wentz is putting in the work to get his deep ball intact is very promising to me. It makes a lot of sense that Carson Wentz would do something like that, because you got two different type of receivers that occupy both outside spaces of the field in terms of offensive passing goes. Now you got Deshaun Jackson, who is a receiver that you can throw the ball out there too. You got an Alshon Jeffrey, who is a receiver that you got to just throw the ball in his area. Meaning that if you throw a jump ball out there to not a jump ball, if you throw a deep ball out to Alshon Jeffrey has to be close to the ball. You know what I'm saying? Alshon Jeffrey is not the type of receiver that's going to locate the ball with his legs. That's what I mean to get at. He's not the guy that's going to locate the ball with his legs. But if it's within the wingspan, if he can locate it with his upper body, he has no problem with catching the ball. Now, what type of passers are better at finding guys that can locate balls with their upper body? Pause. You want to think about Nick Foles. Nick Foles is able to throw a teardrop type of pass where it goes up and is in the air for a very long time. So it's not a lot of leg tracking that got to happen with that. It's in the same spot in the air for a very long time, and then it drops right down where it's supposed to drop down. Now, who has the advantage on a pass like that? A big body receiver who can catch the ball at his highest point, like Alshon Jeffrey. Now, Carson Wentz is more adept to throwing both passes, but Carson Wentz's favorite pass to throw is the pass with some power. Now, who's more adept to catching the pass with some power behind it to where you got to track it with your legs? A deep bomb, that would be a guy like Deshaun Jackson. So Carson Wentz's job is not an easy one, but not a hard one at the same time, because he's talented enough arm-wise to do it. It's just a thing that has to be corrected with repetitions. Now, we're going to talk about this a little bit on the whiteboard so I can give more insight on this, but I believe that Carson Wentz has to perfect throwing two different types of balls to two different types of receivers. All right, now some other challenges that may be, eye-popping to me in terms of protection with Carson Wentz is this. Now, in that practice that in the last video, I talked about a practice where the offense struggled. There could be many factors to why the offense struggled. We don't know who those linemen were. You know what I mean? You got to keep into account that Brandon Brooks at his guard position is being filled by who knows who. And, in these practice situations, these could have been all second string linemen just getting reps against the first string defense. You know what I mean? Which would have guys chomping at the bit to get to Carson Wentz, and they'll be able to do that, with ease. Now, we're going to take a step back and look at this board. Typically, on this side, you'll have your Alshon Jeffrey, and on this side, you'll have your Deshaun Jackson, and on this side, you can have anybody in the slot, or you can have a tight end right there. Now, Alshon Jeffrey is going out for a deep route, deep post or whatever, a streak or a deep post. So is Deshaun Jackson. Now, who would be the hot route in this situation? 9 times out of 10, it depends on the matchup. Now, if somebody is of a smaller caliber receiver and they're put on Alshon Jeffrey, which is probably 80% of the receivers in the game are going to be smaller than Alshon Jeffrey, then in my opinion, I think Alshon Jeffrey will be the hot route. But I think Carson Wentz sometimes struggles in his young career with throwing that ball to Alshon Jeffrey. Carson Wentz is more adept to putting pressure and power behind the pass and throwing it out and letting the guy run out for it, which is why you get some of the overthrows to Alshon Jeffrey, which just happened in practice. The last practice, I believe, Alshon Jeffrey was overthrown and Rasul Douglas was able to intercept it. Now, you can rarely overthrow Deshaun Jackson. So Carson Wentz is comfortable with putting that power and that strength behind the pass because he knows Deshaun Jackson is going to be able to run under this ball and contest it. Now, Alshon Jeffrey's passes require a bit more finesse. They do. You just got to get it in the area. You got to get it to where Alshon is going to be at and put it up high enough because he can out-jump whoever. It's kind of hard to throw an interception to a guy like Alshon Jeffrey. Just put it in his area. Now, it takes a little touch. It takes a little passing control. Maybe Carson Wentz isn't all the way there with his passing control, but I believe he's talented enough to get this under control. Now, if you're telling somebody to just go and I'm going to just throw it as hard as I can, then Deshaun Jackson is your guy. But in terms of throwing it near the end zone now listen, if you remember the touchdown pass that Alshon Jeffrey caught in the end zone, Nick Foles had to throw it in the end zone where Alshon Jeffrey was going. It seems like it's really easy to do, but these quarterbacks got their work cut out in them because you can throw the ball out in the back of the end zone and don't even give a guy a chance. That's what I meant by Nick Foles was able to throw that teardrop and be accurate with that teardrop ball. Nick Foles was an accurate quarterback. He just didn't have the arm power that a lot of people liked. You know what I mean? But he had real arm strength. He didn't throw a lot of passes with power because you don't need to do that all the time. Tom Brady at this point in his career isn't throwing a bunch of passes with power. That's a young man's game. Carson Wentz got to adapt to how these quarterbacks are playing with longevity. You know what I mean? So the power game, you know, can work with you with a Deshaun Jackson, but also the finesse game as well. If you put it up there and you put it out there, Deshaun Jackson can run under it. Now, Carson Wentz has all these routes underneath all day down pat, which is why it was really comfortable for him to link up with a Jordan Matthews who operated out of the slot at times, or Zach Ertz who's a tight end who's not looking to go too deep, or Dallas Goedert who's not looking to go too deep. But I think the coach's work is also cut out for them because, you know, knowing that this position is probably going to be Big V or Wisniewski, somebody right there plugging in that right guard position while Brandon Brooks is looking to get 100%. You got to have your running back right here ready to protect. You got to have Jordan Howard ready in positions to be able to protect Carson Wentz at all costs, because we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with this guard position right here. If I'm opposing defenses, I'm bringing stunts from hell at that guy who's not actually a starter in that position. So like I said, man, it's a task that I believe Carson Wentz can handle, but it's not a task that's going to be an easy task. At the end of the day, Carson Wentz has to perfect throwing two different types of deep balls. You got to be able to throw the teardrop, and you got to be able to beam it out there at the same time, because we have two receivers that require two different type of balls coming to them. And that's the beauty about training camp. These things are getting handled. These things are getting understood right now. And I think Carson Wentz is going to get it under control, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on the two different type of deep balls, because you got two different type of receivers, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.